All right, everyone. Monica Lewinsky is actually back in the news. You'll remember her as the one person Bill Clinton didn't need to sexually assault, allegedly, in order to get them into bed. She had, by all accounts, consensual relations with the President of the United States. He then denied it, perjured himself in front of Congress, probably should have been removed from office because he lied to Congress. As far as the affair itself goes, though, who cares? A lot of people pretended to care back then. It was sort of latent Reagan moralism, the yuppie thing. We don't want to talk about this. We have to censor some of the things we say on the nightly news because our kids will hear the word semen-streaked dress, famously, and it'll be terrible. It'll be anarchy. It'll be the horror. We've already got this problem with grunge rock and punk rockers and heavy metal and all of these terrible things. Video games. Oh, Mario's violent stomps on turtle heads and like living mushrooms and stuff. He's using drugs. We get all these problems, so we can't have that problem too. That's the one realm in which we dare not trespass. And now it's like you use the internet. Come on, like it's passé at this point. Monica Lewinsky now, though, in the wake of the Me Too hashtag, I think it's because, in part, Bill Clinton has totally fallen out of favor and is now a pariah among the Democrats. You know, he was the ultimate post-Tricky Dick shyster. He was the charismatic, boy-faced, chuckly Democrat, very rather tall, kind of an imposing figure, very, very charming, very suave at times. Until recently, now he's incoherent, doesn't know where he is, I think. So, as long as that was true, I don't think Monica wanted to deal with the situation, even if it meant that she could get speaking fees or a book deal. But now Bill Clinton is debased. He's powerless now. He's been robbed of his power. He's lost his legacy. The Bill Clinton legacy is now worth jack shit, honestly. There's a reason. The one thing on the presidential rankings that made sense is that they took this sort of heroic figure of Clinton, who they held up as basically the left's Ronald Reagan, and they finally put him down where he deserves, which is ultimately a mediocre president who reigned over a booming economy because of .coms and things of that nature. Had nothing to do with any policy, but it was despite his tax plan. It was despite tax and spend. It was despite his nonsense. And Russia happens to collapse, so the times are good. People aren't socially alienated. They get kind of decadent and just want to go buy computers. That's ultimately the Bill Clinton legacy. It was the private marketplace, for the most part, that drove the success that he experienced. This was partially true for Ronald Reagan as well. Let's not get ourselves started on making it a partisan issue. Monica Lewinsky maintained for years that her relations with Bill Clinton were strictly consensual. It was, she wanted to, it was nobody's business, fucking shut up about it, you shouldn't be running me and Bill through the tabloids, we had sex, we're adults, we chose to, yeah, he had an affair, get over it. That was essentially Monica Lewinsky's line for 20 years. All of a sudden now, because of a hashtag on Twitter, because of the fact that now allegations are routinely used to destroy people's careers, even where they tried it with Takei. One person makes an allegation, apparently it was spurious, and so someone who, he's part of the Stern universe, so he's creepy. He basically he plays with people's balls on Sirius XM all the time. It's part of their show, part of their shtick. He's almost a co-host at this point. Someone who's a little creepy though, false allegations against him. He has to come out and say, well, no, this isn't true, and get wrung through basically the washer like everybody else. But Bill Clinton harassed people, allegedly sexually assaulted and possibly raped people. Multiple individuals. We're talking, I believe, 4 or 5 different individuals over the years have made those allegations. Monica Lewinsky is not one of them. For her to suddenly change her mind after the same consistency for several decades, and say, no, it was an abuse of his power, I feel dirty now. That is so, you're just looking for attention at that point. That makes no sense. What, you had to wait for an army of vigilantes on Twitter to exist in order to come out and actually say that? Before it was all fine. But I've changed my mind. I no longer think it was consensual. Before I told people that were attacking me and attacking Clinton to shut up. I told him, hey, why do you have a problem with it? Lots of people have affairs, honey. He did things with his cigar. I loved it. She says that for years. Now it's a problem. Now, it's not the way the world works. You don't get to revise. She's already testified to it in public over and over and over, talking about it for years on end. Every time Bill Clinton comes up, Monica Lewinsky's brought up. She's undeservingly very, very famous. What do you want? Speaking fees? Do you want the Me Too people to drag you up on stage and say, oh, Monica has joined us. It's a case of workplace violence by a male against one of his female subordinates. That's not what happened, though. You told people over and over that's not the case. It doesn't make any sense. And then when this moral panic ends and people's legacies are restored in cases where there was never any evidence of their wrongdoing, where we say, oh, this person lost their career on mere allegation, 1-2 people complained, and those people may have been troubled anyway, and all of a sudden somebody got kicked to the curb out of a multi-million-dollar contract deal. There will come a time, I'm telling you this, there will be a backlash against this kind of movement, absolutely. There will come a time in the future, it could take decades, but it will happen, in which people in a revisionist sense look at this period, say that it was a witch hunt in many cases, and that actually the real allegations were sort of overshadowed by the false ones, creating a situation where the entire movement inevitably implodes, which it will. And it'll be partially because of opportunists. Now, is Monica Lewinsky being one when she says, oh yeah, forget what I said for 20 years. Now it was a workplace problem, it was abusive, it was, I feel harassed in retrospect by this man. I did have sex with that man, and it was consensual until I decided that it wasn't 20 years later. That's going to be problematic, I think. The history books, I don't think, are going to look at that very kindly. And it will be a phenomenon, keep in mind, that is in them. It will be spoken of. It's become significant enough, so it'll make its way into the history books. It'll be a footnote, maybe, of the feminist movement, and probably one that jeopardizes its continued existence in the so-called modern period. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. You got to have a little bit of foresight when you're analyzing such things. But Monica Lewinsky, according to her own words, this isn't me giving an opinion, this is according to her herself, was not harassed, was not coerced. She wasn't given $1 million to suck Bill Clinton off. She wasn't raped by Bill Clinton, according to her own testimony. She had a consensual affair with him. It was consensual. She gave her consent. She had no problem with it. She defended him for years. What are you so worried about? No, I blame the tabloids. I blame the media for talking about it. It's like it's none of your business. We had sex. Yeah, kind of. It was voluntary. It was consensual. It really is nobody else's fault. It's like when people say, well, Trump might be sleeping around the White House. Who cares? Is it consensual, and does it involve people who are legally entitled to enter into a consensual arrangement? Yes? Then I don't care. It's not jeopardizing his job. I don't care. I don't care if Trump has a new person in his bed every week. If Melania knows about it, doesn't care, it's nobody else's problem. Nobody else has any bearing on that situation. Monica Lewinsky is the least of the Bill Clinton sex problem. You get a half a dozen other people saying, oh yeah, I allege that he sexually assaulted me, he sent me dirty emails, he didn't realize that, this email that I could even read it, he was like fantasizing his weird stuff. He's not exactly tech literate probably. He does all sorts of weird things. There are allegations that he does everything else under the sun. So you're going to take the one consensual act of sex that he was engaged in. And once again, you're going to make it a national issue. It is not the 1990s anymore. People don't pretend to be so moralistic. And let's face it, a lot of the people saying that it was an outrage at the time, probably they've had affairs too. They get off on weird stuff. What do you think, that these people are politicians most of the time? Okay. They're rich. They have access to all of the whips and duct tape sort of stuff if they want it. There's someone who can get them anything they want. Drugs, yeah, you can have them. Kinky stuff, yeah, you want an orgy with several midgets? Okay, you can have that too. It can be arranged strictly, in a basement somewhere. Nobody will ever know. Don't worry. Bill or Obama or whatever, these people get up to weird stuff. They're enabled to because they have a lot of money and a lot of people around them who are willing to additionally make money supplying anything they happen to need. You want bricks of coke? Okay, we can get you bricks of coke. Heroin? Oh, yeah. Weed? Yeah, well, it's legal in D.C. now, so you can just go on the street corner. Fuck you. So, yeah, this is what happens in D.C. or Hollywood or Manhattan or Central or Las Vegas, certainly. These places are literally, the Christians are right when they say they're dens of iniquity. Of course they are. As far as the consensual, though, stuff that happens, in the bedroom between Bill and an intern who wants to get off with him, who cares? She was charmed by the dude. She was seduced by him. He said, yeah, Now, I like your body, Monica. I can do all sorts of things with my tongue and with my instruments here. It's called a Cuban. You ever had one of these stuffed up inside you? It did all sorts of stuff, probably. But it's none of my... I don't care. It was consensual. By her own admission, he said, after he stopped denying it happened altogether, he's like, yeah, it was consensual. Well, he wanted to have an affair. We had an affair. I've already talked to Hillary. She threw plates at my head. Now she's calmed down. Because I got her this other person named Huma came along, really calmed her down, like they were talking for hours last night. She came out, she felt so much better. It's probably the sort of stuff that happens, dude. It's DC we're talking about. It's the Clintons. Are you surprised? But saying that it was non-consensual after saying, well, yeah, it was consensual for decades. My goodness, yes, I'm going to take that so seriously. Now, I think I'll take Monica for 20 years of nonstop talking about the issue over, hey, Monica post hashtag on Twitter that's used by a bunch of web vigilantes in some cases to destroy people's careers without any actual evidence whatsoever. So, in other words, you're cheapening women's rights when you do that. By the way, that's my big problem with it, is some woman gets raped and a lot of people they won't even take her seriously. They boil it down to a partisan issue, say, oh, she's trying to get a settlement, she's trying to get attention or something. And this is not helpful for holding people accountable. Because that's ultimately what it ends up boiling down to. If you're saying, no, it was consensual, I didn't say no. I didn't resist. I didn't have a problem with it. I enjoyed it quite greatly. And then all of a sudden you come out and say, no, it was bad because it was in a workplace and he was my superior. You could have said no, and you didn't. You didn't even want to. That's the point. That's why it was not abusive in nature. Now, those other women, the ones that were sitting in on the debate that time that Bill Clinton looked sideways at, and it was like the funniest, capture from the entire debate night was the women, the Bill accusers that Trump invited to the debate, gave tickets to the debate. He's like, hey, you come sit in front row, right in front of Bill Clinton. It's going to be hilarious. That's abuse, allegedly. And you'd be like, hashtag believe them, hashtag believe hers. Okay. But Monica, I'm going to believe Monica Lewinsky, therefore, when she says, for 20 years that nothing untoward happened. It was just an affair. Shut up, you tabloid rag idiots. That's what she said. Okay, fair enough. And they probably should. It shouldn't be newsworthy at this point. Come on, it was the 1990s. Bill Clinton was in office. Yeah, weird shit happened in D.C. Way worse shit than that. Stuff that was criminal. Like a Filegate and Travelgate and everything. Hillary Gate and, Seaman Street Dress Gate, you could call it. That's about all. Peace out.